helping you put the big P in profession. Oh, yeah. Here's our career Sherpa, Julie Bauke.
Yep, it's Wednesday morning. Jules always joins us for a midweek career tune-up from the Bauke Group, B-A-U-K-E, thebaukegroup.com. She's a career coach, a job coach, if you will. Jules, good morning. How's things?
Good morning. Couldn't be better.
Couldn't be better or could be better?
Couldn't possibly be better.
Really?
Yes.
It's
how I live.
It's a bad day for people who work with a former Hamilton County Sheriff's employee named James Knapp. He's a longtime deputy, chief of staff. He gets back from vacation, and safe to say that it's never a good idea to show anyone of any gender, of any sexual persuasion, anyone you work with, pictures of your rig. And that's what he had to resign.
Rig. Now that's a new one.
Don't show people your pictures of your rig.
Oh, where to even start?
Should we even? This is like I just think this is a weak topic. I'll be honest with you, Julie, because I think 99.9% of people go, yeah, I don't care what the story is. Showing coworkers naked pictures of yourself in whatever form is a bad idea.
Well, sure it is, but it happens, and it happened here in a very visible. So it's not a lame topic. I take personal offense. This happened. It is in our county, and apparently not everyone. And this is what amazes me, because you would think that everyone, 99.9% of the people, understand this is never a good idea. Yet this and similar things keep happening. Not only did he show her pictures of himself on a nude beach,
tell the whole story, would you please? Relay the story.
So he comes back from vacation, and apparently he's been in Cancun on a nude beach. He's telling a coworker about it, and she says some, making conversation, gosh, didn't even know there were nude beaches in Cancun, which he takes as an apparent invitation to prove this to her by showing her pictures of himself on a nude beach. And she tried to walk away, and he reached out and grabbed her shirt and said, "It's only sex."
She was disgusted by seeing this guy, seeing the fuzzy squirrel. This guy.
So it's not. He's not the only person who's done this or somehow thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Because this kind of stuff keeps happening, and so then the question becomes, what happens to somebody when they do something like that?
Right.
And when you're in, especially I think, when you're in, fair or not, when you're in a law enforcement role, people hold you to a higher standard. And
I don't know. They're both in law enforcement. It's not like he was showing pictures of his rigs to someone that's driving down the street going, "Hey, look at this."
That would be okay. You'd be okay with that. You wouldn't be arguing.
No, I'm just saying. But it's a coworker, so maybe he thought, hey, there's a, it's like, behind the scenes, and cops, firefighters, they have a sick, twisted, dark sense of humor because of the nature of their jobs, and it's a coping mechanism. I'm not defending his behavior. I'm telling why these things happen.
Yeah, and I know surgeons. I mean, I'm sure all kinds of stuff happens in the OR that under the bright light of day would not be seen as acceptable, but. I feel pretty safe saying it is zero, never, ever a good idea to show nude pictures of yourself to a coworker. And then, so there's a little bit of a should he have been fired or should he have been allowed to resign? So the headline says allowed to resign and get vacation pay after sexual harassment. Okay, so there's a very little difference generally between allowed to resign and being fired. Sometimes people who are close to being fired are allowed to resign to save face. However, people still know, your coworkers still know that you were fired, and sometimes it's just because so you can technically say, I resigned. And the question then becomes, in a case like this, should someone be fired to make a statement because it's so egregious, or should they be allowed to resign? And I think there's a little bit of kerfuffle about that.
Probably, but is this also an issue of, and let's face it, this is a government employee we're dealing with here, and I don't know what the employment agreements are, but they tend to be a lot more tenuous in the public sector than they are in the private sector.
Yeah, and I in general, I don't have a problem with someone being allowed to resign. And, the fact that he got his vacation pay, there's no choice there. I mean, you have to pay somebody their unused vacation pay when they leave. So that's a non-issue. Yeah. But what kind of statement are you trying to make by allowing someone to resign versus firing them? And, yeah, you're right. There might be some contract issues in there. But in general, people understand that showing anybody except your significant other a picture of you naked, and chances are they've probably already seen the real thing.
Even then, I don't think your spouse is all that comfortable. If I don't want to see that.
I know.
After all these years.
So it's,
well, how old? What was it? Here's another question for you. This is an important question, Julie, because let's face it, this is only sex, and that is, how old is the victim? How old is the perpetrator? Because I'm looking at a picture of this guy, James Knapp, and he looks to be I'm going to say a middle-aged gentleman, maybe in his 50s, maybe early 60s. That's hard to tell. Gray hair, grandfather-looking guy. How old is the victim? Because that's the real issue.
Why is that the real issue?
Well, I'm saying if he were a young, buff, studly-looking kind of guy that maybe on Mr. September on the sheriff's department calendar that they sell to women that had tattoos, he's got 5% body fat. This may not be a big issue. Would you agree?
Oh my gosh, no, I don't agree.
I think it's true.
You are just causing trouble now. It is never okay. Never. I don't care what you look like or how old you are. Now, if you're showing it to somebody underage, that's a whole separate.
You wouldn't be working in the sheriff's department if you're underage.
Oh my gosh, you'd be. Yeah, there'd be all kinds of other stuff going on. But
yeah. This is let's say she's in her, I don't know, maybe she's 30s, 40s. I would say if this guy looked a lot. What?
No, it's still not okay. Stop that.
If he looked more like Mr. McDreamy than Mr. McFeely,
Mr. McFeely.
From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Speedy delivery.
Dr. Dreamy or
Dr. Dreamy. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just playing the double standard, Julie. That's what I do.
I know you are. I know you're.
I'm just saying. I wonder if those things happen and go. I wonder what he looked. Because we women talk about that stuff, even at work.
We don't want to
Hell,
see.
yes, you do.
A picture.
I guarantee you, there's a lot of women that would be coming, going, "Oh my God, it's so gross." What did it look like?
No.
You don't think that happened?
At work? You know what?
Jimmy says yes.
Jimmy. Well. I think
Brian Combs says yes. Jack Crumley just said yes.
Yes, no, he did not.
Jeff Henderson just texted me yes.
No, Jeff Henderson.
Bill Cunningham just said yes. Yes.
No. Universal life rule. Do not show naked pictures of yourself to your coworkers. Write that down. Tattoo it.
I love this segment because you feel like the HR employee that I can't roast because I'll get fired. Whereas I can just have fun with you right now, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. This is fantastic.
That's right. There's not a damn thing I can do about it, and I wouldn't.
Julie Bauke's our career Sherpa on the Scott Sloan Show, 700 WOW. Safe to say, the fact is, reminders. How about this? I'll go back, other than the pictures of guys' junk and his plumbing, is I would say quit showing other coworkers pictures of your vacation. We don't want to see that. Put it on Facebook, and that way, if I see your vacation pictures on Facebook, I go, all right, it's my fault. I should unfriend him, or that's why I got, Because typically it's not nudes. It's like, oh, look what we did. Look at how cool this is. We went to Italy last month, right, on vacation. If somebody asked me, you got any pictures, I'd show them. But I don't walk around going, oh, look what we did here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Because you know why? You're stuck in a corporate soul-sucking hellhole, working for the man, making up for the time that someone else is off. You're not going on vacation somewhere nice and exotic, or hell, even to Florida or Destin or Gatlinburg for that matter. So don't come back and just thrust pictures of whatever it is, nude or otherwise, of your vacation under our noses, because guess what? You're a jerk if you do that. You're rubbing people's nose in it who largely had to cover for you while you're gone.
So you're old enough, as am I, to remember home movies and slideshows. Like people would invite their neighbors over to see the slideshow of their vacation. So you're stuck, and do you remember that? You're stuck in their living room. At least my parents, their friends did that. You're stuck in their living room while they're showing you like a 12,000 slideshow of their vacation, and you're a hostage. So yeah, this sort of takes it mobile. If you've got it on your phone, you can thrust it on anybody.
What? What are we talking about?
As soon as I said thrust, I knew you were going to go there.
Well,
I wish I could have taken it back. As Willie would say, that's a cut.
That's a cut. That's a cut, Segman. It's funny because before the show, Jimmy and my producer Slip and Jimmy and I were talking about this, and I said, I haven't thought of this in forever, but I remember being a little kid, and we went to someone's house. I remember it being summer, and we went there for a picnic or something, and somehow it devolved into them showing slides of their vacation. And I remember it's a beautiful day, and I'm like, okay, we're guests, you got to, act the part. And I remember sitting there falling asleep and then literally waking up, it felt like 6 hours later, and they're still showing slide. Carousel 8 will show you the time. I was like, oh my God. I said, and I remember that when I'm like, you know what? When I get old, like my mom and dad, who are in their 30s and they're ancient, I'm never going to do this.
Yeah. I can still hear the clicking of the carousel when you say that.
Home movies, at least it's like, okay, it's, 16 millimeter. It's like, the reels are really small. It's like 5 minutes. But damn, the slideshows. Oh my God, it's terrible. So don't show people pictures of vacation unless they go, do you have any pictures? Yeah. And then maximum pictures is 3 pictures. Don't show them 1,000 pictures. They're just probably being cordial because you know what? Largely people don't care.
Should we put that in our universal life rules?
That should be it right there.
Okay. We'll start a book.
But when it comes to showing wiener photos, if the guy's young and handsome, it's okay is what you're saying, right?
No.
If she's like a middle-aged woman and she's like, I get a cheap thrill out of it because we always kind of wondered. He's like the cute guy in the office.
No, that's gross.
Can't get away.
No, and no again. No.
Gross.
No Jack Crumley, no Jimmy Sandy, no.
What
Jeff
about
Henderson.
boob pics? Does it go the other way?
No. Yes. No, it doesn't go together. It's the same thing for that.
Just want to know kind of worked. God, I miss the 80s. You'd do that all the time. People would like, oh my God, that's gross. The stuff that you did back then, today, you would lose your job literally in a second.
Well, there's social media, too, that adds to that. So there's more proof now when people do that sort of stuff, too. And people are dumb enough to post stuff online. A
place I worked at, this is a true story. This guy I worked with, his nickname was the Mangy Man. That ought to tell you something. We had a candy jar at the receptionist desk, right? And it was one of those candy jars had like a seal, you'd seal. I don't know if it was meant for candy, but it was like an airtight, like a coffee jar kind of thing. But it was glass, right? Like a promotional thing. It had the station logo on it, and they had candy in it. Well, the candy jar was empty one day. So he does what I think a lot of guys with a little bit of time and forethought would do. Learned man like the Mangy Man, a Rhodes Scholar and the like. He came in the morning. It was like Monday morning, and he goes out and runs the streets all weekend. He comes in, first order of business is opening that vacuum seal jar and farting in it, and then he closes the lid on it and puts it back on the counter. And then when the receptionist came in, he said, "We got any candy?" She's like, "No, it's empty." She go, "I'll open it, smell." Because I think it turned, and she opened it up and did, and literally she had to go throw up.
Wow. Now I can see where that's entertaining.
God, that's hilarious.
Junior high students.
That's awesome. Now today, Julie, because you are the HR marm, what happens to someone who farts in a jar and makes a colleague smell it?
Well, you know what? I think it's just, first of all...
First, he's the Mangy Man, so there's your hiring thing. But
you're probably not going to get fired for that. But you definitely...
There's going to be a letter.
That will stick with you for a long time. I mean, look at this Mangy Man, whoever that is. You're still talking about it. He's probably in a nursing home somewhere.
Classic.
And so it sticks with your reputation. I mean, is that really... Because if you, as I always say, it's about judgment. If you show that little judgment in your workplace, what are you going to do at a customer's at a customer site or with big clients? And I think it's like, wow. You
probably fart in a jar, but blame the receptionist, I'd say.
I mean, believe me, I like junior high humor. Like, but it has to be sophisticated.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a ton of laughs, Julie. A ton of laughs.
We need a little more thought put into it than that.
That's great.
Dave.
What a move.
Oh, what a move.
I miss those days when you could do that and make those, and then, you know what, it's like everybody realizes, you're just a jerk, and then eventually the secretary does something to you. So turnabout's fair play. But we take it way too seriously. But nonetheless, all right, so again, don't take pictures of your rig. And first of all, why would you take pictures of yourself nude on a beach in the first place?
I know. I don't know. Like, was it a selfie? Was somebody else taking pictures of you?
I don't know, but I'm just saying. It's like, wait a minute. You actually had a picture of yourself nude on your phone, though. That's the problem. I could see pictures of other people nude on your phone, but why would you want pictures of you nude on your phone?
Yeah. I don't. I just don't. Just don't. I mean, it's really simple. Just don't.
Well, there are some people like that are just extremely proud of their bodies, I guess, and there's the problem. You should be ashamed. So, Julie Bauke from the BaukeGroup.com.
And my new podcast, The Evolved Career.
Who's on this week?
Paul Hafner, the CEO of Lighthouse Youth Services, a really wonderful guy.
Very nice. Nice charity, too.
Yeah, it is.
Good deal. All right. So, Julie, if you're around Julie, don't show her pictures of stuff that involve nudity.
Or you're rich.
And don't fart in the jar. All right. She is a bundle of laughs. That's Julie Bauke on the show here on 700 WOW. Jules, we'll talk next week.